Hi guys, there are two problems with the BBC when it comes to the likes of Reform UK and its MPs. First, the broadcaster provides the small party with a disproportionate platform if we were to compare them with, for example, the Greens, who they have slightly more seats than, and the Liberal Democrats, who they have dramatically fewer seats than. The second problem is that there's very little or no pushback. Richard Tice was once again pushing the debunked idea that Britain can simply pick up asylum seekers in the sea and return them to France. The rejection of this came in a four-word phrase, but I have a bit more to say about it.
This is extraordinary. It's remarkable that in Germany it wasn't illegal to people smuggle to other nations outside the EU, but this will make no difference whatsoever. There is a silver bullet that will stop the boats. It's what we should have done under the previous government, but they didn't have the guts to do it. Legally, you've got to pick up and take back to France, which we're entitled to do under the United Nations 1982 Convention of the Law of Sea. And what's interesting is I've been talking about this for over a year now. No lawyer, no government minister, no civil servant has said I'm wrong. And there's a reason for that, because I'm right.
Well,
they're embarrassed.
Well, that's not true. I'll come back to that in a moment. But Karen...
Okay, why has no lawyer, civil servant or government minister said that Richard Tice is wrong? Well, because technically he's right. He's right in a limited and specific way. And I mentioned this before. So if Border Force or the Royal Navy is operating in the English Channel and they see a dinghy in distress, they're obliged under the UN convention that Richard Tice is quoting here to provide assistance. Now that assistance may be just to wait with them, maybe to take people on board, or maybe to escort them to a safe port. Now, if the Royal Navy or Border Force is operating in French waters, if they happen to be in French waters when they encounter this dinghy, they're obliged to take that dinghy or those asylum seekers to the safest nearest port. And that could be in France, it could be Calais. It has happened in the past. But if they're in English waters and the safest port is Dover, for example, then they're obliged to take those people to Dover. There's nothing in the convention that Richard Tice keeps banging on about that says you can take people back to France. It has happened on one occasion or on a few occasions. It's happened, for example, between France and Belgium. But there's nothing in it that says, yes, you're allowed to take people to wherever you want. It's about protecting lives. It's about protecting people at sea. See, what Richard Tice keeps talking about here is what we need to do is just force people back, or we need to just pick them up and dump them in France. But you can't do that for a number of reasons. For example, you need to have an agreement with the French. See, this is once again the Brexiteers' position of we want to cut ourselves off from Europe. We don't want to have to deal with France whatsoever. We don't want to have a good relationship with our neighbours. But at the same time, we want to be able to dump people, literally dump people in other countries. But you can't do that. For example, if the Royal Navy tries to arrive at the French port and they're not given permission, then what happens? Is Richard Tice and maybe Nigel Farage suggesting that they just dump people into the sea? You know, Ben Habib was suggesting something like that. Now he's no longer a member of the Reform UK party. But he keeps talking about silver bullets. He keeps talking about UN conventions. He keeps talking about laws of the sea. But he doesn't seem to understand them, or he's hoping that people watching this won't understand them. And unfortunately, there's no real pushback here. Why is the journalist here not pushing back and saying, wait a minute, that's not what the law of the sea says? And what happens if these people are rescued in English waters? What would you suggest is done then, Richard Tice? He would probably say, well, we just take them back to France anyway. And what if France says no? What if they reject any permission to dock? None of this makes any sense, but it's not designed to make sense. It's designed to make angry people vote for a party that has no real ideas, no solutions. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.